Did you know that the creature currently sleeping on your sofa was once the most feared biological weapon in the Western world? For centuries, a black cat crossing your path wasn't just bad luck. It was a death sentence. But the reason why isn't what you think. It wasn't about magic. It was about a calculated, bloody purge that changed the course of human DNA.
To understand the fear, we have to look at the before. In ancient Egypt, cats were bastet. They were protectors. To kill one was a capital crime. They were revered for their liminality, the ability to walk between the world of the living and the dead. But everything shifted in 1233 AD. This is the year the world went dark for the black cat. Pope Gregory IX issued a papal bull called the Vox in Rama. This is the first official document in history to declare the black cat an incarnation of Satan. The decree claimed that during secret rituals, a black cat statue would come to life, and the faithful would kiss its hindquarters to pledge their soul to the devil. The effect was immediate. The image of the black cat shifted from a graceful protector to a familiar, a physical vessel for a demon. If you owned a black cat, you weren't a pet owner. You were a conspirator. As the 1300s approached, the tension escalated into a frenzy. Across Europe, thousands of black cats were rounded up. They were burned in wicker baskets. They were thrown from bell towers. But here is the chilling fact most people miss. This wasn't just superstition. It was an ecological disaster. By systematically wiping out the feline population, humans inadvertently invited the real monsters into their homes. Rats. The black cat was the only thing keeping the plague-carrying flea in check. When the cats died, the rats thrived. In 1347, the Black Death arrived. Because of the Omen Purge, Europe had no natural defense. The fear of the cat's shadow directly led to the death of 25 million people. We feared the shadow, so we embraced the plague. Why was the color black specifically targeted? In the Middle Ages, black was the color of melancholy. But there's a visceral reason. At night, a black cat is invisible except for its eyes. Imagine a medieval peasant walking through a forest with only a dim lantern. Suddenly, two glowing orbs appear out of thin air. They don't see a body. They see disembodied spirits. By the 1600s, during the Salem witch trials, the tension reached its peak. It was believed that a witch could transform into a black cat exactly 9 times. This is where the myth of 9 lives comes from. It wasn't a compliment. It was a countdown of how many times you had to kill the witch before she stayed dead. What you should learn from this is that luck is often a mask for human error. We labeled the black cat an omen to explain away our own anxieties. But science has discovered something fascinating. The gene that makes a cat black is in the same family as genes that provide resistance to viral infections in humans. While we were busy burning them as vessels of evil, nature had actually made them genetically superior survivors. They weren't bringing death. They were the only ones equipped to survive it. Today, the omen lives on in shelters. Black cats are still the least likely to be adopted. We are still haunted by a decree from 1233. We are still afraid of a shadow that was once our only shield. The next time a black cat crosses your path, don't turn back. Look into its eyes. You aren't looking at a demon or a sign of bad luck. You are looking at a survivor of a 1,000-year war. You are looking at the creature that survived us. The shadow is only dark because it's standing in the light. If you want to see the true face of history's most misunderstood creatures, click the video on your screen now to see the 5 ancient entities we mistook for monsters. See you there. Did you know that the thing lurking in the dark corners of history was never actually trying to hurt you? We call them monsters because we lack the vocabulary for the truth. For thousands of years, we've hunted, cursed, and feared specific entities, only to realize far too late they were the ones trying to save us. We begin with the owl. To the Romans, an owl's hoot was the song of death. If an owl perched on your roof, someone inside was destined to die. In 4th century BC, they were the eyes of Athena, symbols of wisdom. But as the Dark Ages rose, we mistook their nocturnal nature for necromancy. The truth: owls are apex indicators. They don't bring death. They move toward it because they hunt the scavengers that feast on decay. They were the original sanitizers of the ancient world. We feared the messenger because we were terrified of the message. Next, look up at the gargoyles of Europe. Deformed, winged, and horrific. For centuries, peasants believed these were demons turned to stone by the light of God. The first gargoyles appeared in the 1200s, designed to look terrifying to scare people into the church. But they were actually a revolutionary engineering feat, a sophisticated plumbing system. Their monstrous mouths were water sprouts designed to divert rainwater away from stone walls to prevent the church from collapsing. We called them demons. They were actually the architects of preservation. In Irish folklore, the banshee is a pale woman whose scream marks your end. The banshee legend traces back to the 8th century and the tradition of keening, professional mourners who sang powerful laments at funerals. When the British suppressed Irish culture, keening was outlawed. The mourning women were forced into the shadows, their songs becoming ghostly screams. The banshee wasn't a monster. She was a woman refusing to let the dead be forgotten. We mistook grief for a curse. Then, there is the Kraken. For 1,000 years, sailors whispered of a beast that could swallow a ship. Scientists now know the Kraken was the giant squid. These creatures are actually incredibly shy, deep-sea dwellers, with almost no contact with humans. The attacks recorded in history, most were instances of the squid being caught in currents and dying. We turned an elusive inhabitant of the abyss into a bloodthirsty god because we couldn't admit we were lost at sea. Finally, the Lamia. In Greek myth, she is a serpent woman who steals children. The backstory is tragic. Lamia was a queen whose children were murdered by a jealous goddess. Driven mad by grief, she was said to envy other mothers. In reality, the Lamia was a psychological personification of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Ancient parents couldn't understand why a healthy baby would stop breathing. They needed a monster to blame because the alternative, that life is fragile, was too terrifying. She was a scapegoat for human helplessness. We create monsters to fill the gaps in our knowledge. We turn the guardian into a demon because it's easier to fight a monster than to face the truth. Now that you've seen the truth behind the shadows, there is one more mystery to uncover. If you think the history of these monsters is dark, you aren't ready for what we found in the archives of the Forbidden. Click the next video to see the 3 cursed artifacts that still exist today. I'll see you in the dark. Did you know that there are objects sitting in climate-controlled rooms right now that no museum curator will touch with their bare hands? Not because they are fragile, but because they are hungry. We like to think we own our possessions. But history suggests that sometimes the object owns the person. Our first artifact dates back to 3500 BC. It is a statue discovered in Lem, Cyprus in 1878. At first glance, it looks like a fertility goddess, but local historians call it the goddess of death. The first owner, Lord Elfont, lost his entire family within 6 years. The second and third owners met the same fate. Even the museum curator who eventually handled it died suddenly. The lesson: this artifact was likely a boundary marker for an ancient plague pit. It wasn't a goddess of life. It was a physical warning of contaminated earth. By digging it up, we unearthed a 5,000-year-old memory of extinction. In the 15th century in Italy, the Bazzano vase was carved as a wedding gift. On her wedding night, the bride was found murdered, clutching the vase. Every person who touched it died shortly after. In 1988, it was dug up with a note: "Beware, this vase brings death." The buyers, a pharmacist, a surgeon, and more, all died within months. Today, the Italian police have officially confiscated the vase. It is reportedly buried in an undisclosed location in a lead-lined box. The vase isn't magic, it is an idea, so toxic that the human mind fails in its presence. Finally, the Dybbuk box, a simple wine cabinet that gained infamy in 2001. It was owned by a Holocaust survivor who claimed it contained a restless spirit. After her death, every owner experienced terrifying shared nightmares and physical illness. One owner's mother suffered a stroke the day she received it. It sits in a museum today behind sensor-triggered glass. The truth you've never heard. The Dybbuk box was the first viral curse. It proved that in the 21st century, a curse doesn't need to be touched to be felt. It can be transmitted through a screen. By watching it, you are participating in the collective fear that gives it power. Objects are just wood and stone. They have no heart. And yet, we treat them with more respect than the living. The curse isn't in the artifact. It is our inability to let go of the past. If you've made it this far, you've felt the weight of these stories. But there is one place where these curses can't reach you.
Thanks for watching. Hit that like button and share this video with someone who loves a good scare. Every tap and share helps us bring ye more terrifying true stories, disturbing encounters, and chillin' mysteries. Tales designed to keep ye up at night. This is Dark Hour Diaries, where your nightmares find a voice. Arr!